Welcome into today's broadcast right here at Cog Hill Farm. Now, Peaches wouldn't let Nugget into the house for this episode, so here's Jason, Brooke, and our chicken master, Marycarl.
What is up, everybody? This is another episode of the Cogcast podcast, a homesteading podcast, a farm podcast, whatever you want to call it. This is episode number 56. I almost said 55.
Well, I just told you I didn't remember what episode it was, so I'm glad you did because I drew a blank, and you said you don't remember last time you said episode 55.
That's right.
And honestly, I do not.
Because you were so happy you remembered.
Well, I didn't remember this time, so I'm not sad that I didn't remember, but I'm also not happy.
Oh my gracious!
It is a very gloomy.
It is
a.m.
It is early in the morning, and I keep when I record the podcast in the daytime, I open the windows up. You can see some light in the back, but the light comes in and brightens us up. But it's pretty gloomy and cloudy outside. It's the bands or incoming bands, I'm assuming, of Hurricane Ida.
Yes, we had planned on recording this podcast yesterday.
Yeah, we
and
did.
We were over at the 40. Jason took necessary things that he thought we would need to record it.
Yeah.
And we said before we leave, we're going to record the podcast, and that way we can upload it over here so everything can be ready. And
Right.
I said, okay. So I went and told Marycarl while she's talking to her friend on the phone. I said, it's going to be about an hour because we're going to record a podcast while we're still here. And she said, okay. And her friend and her continued to chat, and you went to get things ready, and the batteries that you thought were charged had lost their charge.
They had one of them was I've been using, so I knew it was dead, and I had my backup. That's a big pet peeve of mine. I don't know if you ever noticed, I got batteries everywhere, and I always buy extra batteries, and I try to keep them charged. And on my Canon camera, the one battery that I had charged had depleted. So I've had that happen on the GoPro too.
I will tell y'all
frustrating.
this, and that is that I have nothing to do with the electronic equipment. I've never taken a battery out of his camera. I've never charged a battery. I've never plugged in the charger. I've never put in a memory card. I don't know what any of that stuff is. So all I know is that the battery was dead. I do understand that the camera won't work without a battery. But that being said, we just said, okay, Marycarl, we're ready to go.
We're ready to go.
Headed back home and decided that we would do it today. And
upload it today.
yeah, because we knew we were going back over to the 40 today. This is becoming the norm to make at least one trip a day, sometimes two. And so we have some things that need to be done over there. So we'll be making a trip, and we can get the podcast uploaded.
Yep, it's just going to be a little later. We've done that a couple of times where we record it that day and go over there and upload it, and it's just a little bit later. But it will come out today. We're trying to keep that schedule going. We've done really, really well in the last 3 weeks. So
we have, and things are getting more and more busy as time goes on.
yes, they're very busy.
We're getting close to the wire, I guess you would say it. The finish line,
We
the
are.
completion,
That's right.
the finale is on the way. So big news this week. We have signed a contract with the buyers.
Yes.
We knew that they were buying it, but a contract has been signed, and the closing date has been set.
That's right. So that is coming a lot faster than I anticipated.
Well, we had an idea,
Well,
but
but just the
time
reality of it,
sneaks up on us.
just it's kind of hitting us now that it's happening.
well, when you don't have a date and you're just saying sometime in October, it really is not as meaningful as October the 5th.
Right.
I mean, that's deadline. That is when you have to have yourself together. And I don't think that either one of us work well with the number.
Yeah, you know me with dates.
Well,
Dates just don't register in my head. I've said it before. Names and dates, just for some reason, my brain does not. And you kept saying, we got to get stuff done. We got this many days. We got to get this, and I'm like, okay,
It didn't register with you, but I
Just
think now that
hasn't
we have a
registered.
number, I think
Yeah.
maybe it's sinking in.
It is. It's sinking in.
I
It's
will
sinking
say that my mom has kind of been, I don't know what the term is, but almost like acting like it wasn't going to happen,
Yeah.
even though she knew it was going to happen.
Right.
Meaning she hadn't got anything together. And this past week, it's almost like that date started to sink in with her because she has boxes packed and she doesn't know what's going where and what to do with this. And so I've started having to help her as far as figure out, what needs to be where. So
Right.
I think everybody realizes that the date is drawing close.
It's like a switch flipped with
yeah,
her.
it is. And I think it's just the fact that we have a number.
I think so too.
Speaking of numbers, we're talking about moving when there's a catastrophic, potentially Category 5 hurricane on the.
Yeah, I woke up this morning. Woke up pretty early, and the new updated, which was about, gosh, I can't remember what it was, but it was the latest one, and Ida is a 4. I don't know what it's going to be once this podcast comes out, but it was sustained at 150 mile an hour winds. 156 is Cat 5.
And they're saying it's strengthening.
It's strengthening, and the pressure's dropping, which is not good. It's not going to be a severe situation for us. We're going to get rain, like I said. We can see the clouds rolling in, and we're under a flash flood watch until tomorrow.
We are predicted to have 2 to 3 inches of rain, which is a lot of rain.
Right.
No denying. But as far as the wind bands and things like that, we won't feel anything but breezy conditions. Now, we are on the east side, which has the potential for those spin-up isolated tornadoes.
Which normally don't last long.
No, and they're not usually a very strong tornado.
Usually not very strong. We will get some gusts. I think they're predicting us to get some gusts somewhere around 20 to 40 miles an hour, just depending on where we're at when those bands come through. But for us, we should be perfectly fine. There shouldn't be any damage here. But there's going to be some people that are going to be impacted severely with this storm. And
it's kind of hard for me to even talk about that we're going to be fine. And then there are those that are just to our west that they're not going to be fine.
Yeah, we feel so guilty. Those people on the coastline.
Not even the coastline, even inland.
Inland, but they're talking 15 to 20 foot storm surge, which, we don't see any of that because we're inland, but we're thinking of y'all, and people listening to this, y'all be thinking about them and say a little prayer for them tonight and the rest of this week, because
it's gonna be some.
And I hope we're wrong. I hope Ida fizzles out some and loses strength, and it's not as bad as they're saying, but as of this morning, it's not looking good.
No, and they're saying that the people that are evacuating are having problems finding gas. They can't find gas because the gas stations are out, and then
Are they maybe closed too or boarded up?
Well, no, I think they're just out.
Okay.
There's so many people trying to evacuate. Thankfully, they're trying to evacuate, but there's no gas available.
Right.
This thing came on pretty quick.
Yeah, this is the new norm with these hurricanes. I remember last year a couple of them.
You had a week to prepare.
Not even that.
Well, I'm just saying, used to you had a week to prepare.
Oh yeah,
and
used to you had days to get ready for these things, but now
it's
the
down
new
to the
norm,
wire before you know exactly where it's going.
It's just crazy how fast these things can just blow up and become something extremely dangerous in just a short matter of time. I mean, it's scary.
And then we have this virus situation that everybody's dealing with.
Yeah.
And then you have these, places that are supposed to be safe places.
Yeah.
And people are packing in there. And I mean, how do you, and what if you don't have the financial means to evacuate?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a heartfelt situation.
It is.
For anybody that's involved. But y'all just realize that we are in central Alabama, and it's just, I mean, what we will feel from it is minimal.
Yeah.
So just kind of forget about us, we'll be okay. But those that are to our west, don't know.
Yeah, be thinking about them big time.
Don't know. But
Talking about different weather changes. The chicken coop, the new chicken coop, and and all the ventilation all we put in it, and we've had several people concerned that it's going to get too cold in the wintertime.
Yeah, we talked about it on the last podcast a little bit, but we'll go into further depth
Well,
on that.
yeah, we've got a ton of ventilation, and the reason being is that our winters are so mild, and I was just thinking how fast these hurricanes spin up and how that's changed. Think about how our winters have changed so dramatically now that
It's just not as cold.
Well, it's not as cold, and our winters are so short.
Well, it kind of flip flops from winter to winter. It seems like last year I can't count on one hand the times that I needed a jacket, a coat. I would say, not a jacket, a coat.
Yeah.
And then the year before that, I feel like I just about wore that coat out.
I remember that, but it still didn't get cold until the end of December. That's what's crazy.
It didn't. And I remember being a kid, and back then, browning jackets were a thing.
Yeah, your goose down feather
Goose
jackets.
down, and I don't know if that was the way, across the United States or whatever, but Browning is a gun manufacturer that also manufactures clothing and accessories and things like that. And so the thing in the South was these goose down Browning jackets.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had one to show, but I gave them all away to the Goodwill
I
many
bet
years ago.
I bet they'll come back in style.
Oh, they're already back
Are
in
they
style.
really?
Yes. But
Should have kept it.
I know.
Can you imagine a vintage Browning jacket? That would have
That would be the
people probably.
Marycarl would be in.
You probably could sell it for.
Well,
They were expensive back then too. I
Yes,
remember
they were
that.
very expensive. You got one for Christmas if you got one.
Yeah.
Because it was a big deal.
It was a big deal.
Me being an only child, that was my thing, is I wanted every color,
Oh my gracious.
And so I had several colors of the Browning jacket. But you didn't go to school without having that Browning jacket on. And
Right.
it wasn't a style thing. It was the fact that it was cold.
It was cold.
And this was what, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Maybe, 35 years ago?
It's crazy.
So I don't know. I mean, we're not going to get into global warming and all that stuff.
Or maybe just the weather patterns.
Yeah.
Or
Things are changing. I mean,
it is changing.
I can vouch for that firsthand. There's no doubt that things are changing. And
can
what
even-
the cause
well,
is, we won't even,
I can even tell with gardening now. I always say we're in zone 8A, but here recently we've eased up into zone 8B, and the next would be 9. So, to me, we've gone, and I don't have any scientific data behind this. I just know from gardening, we can grow things longer than we used to could, and then a lot of cool weather plants kind of struggle because our winters are so warm. But yeah, it's just crazy how things are just changing.
There have been years past that if we had tomatoes, well, I say years past, last year, if we had tomato plants planted in November, they would have made it.
Yeah, we would have.
They would have made it.
They would have made it.
I mean, that's just crazy.
It is.
Because, and another thing that we were talking about the other day is ticks.
Yes.
This is crazy because Jason grew up in this area, which was all woods. And he spent his days in the woods.
I did. Us being kids, we just stayed in the woods and played and built forts and all that. And this is where we're at now, is where I grew up.
Well, I grew up in the city, but we had some underdeveloped woods that were on the backside of the neighborhood that we spent most every day riding bicycles in those woods through our trails and walking and, just exploring. And I cannot remember as a kid ever having a tick.
Yeah.
Can you?
Never. I mean, I just do not remember us getting ticks. None of us. None of my friends, because it was be 4 or 5 of us playing out there. And I'm talking about from ages 6 to 13, 14 years old.
Yeah. And
Never,
mine came a little bit
ever.
older that I started, playing in the woods because I moved from one house in the city to another, but never had a tick.
But now,
you can't hardly go outside, and it's not just our place.
no, it's not
anywhere.
just this. It's just almost anywhere
there's ticks everywhere.
There's a potential that you could get a tick on you. So I mean,
and not
it's crazy.
all of them carry diseases.
No.
And, I mean, I know that ticks are part of the life cycle of the way things adapt and change, but it's just ironic to me that there were no ticks that we would pick up back then. However, you have potential to pick one up anytime you go outside now.
It's just crazy. It's just crazy.
I don't understand it.
I don't know if it's the warmer weather.
Yeah.
Now we have this done it. And talking about warmer weather, we're not talking about just here. I'm talking about everywhere. There was somebody the other day which we know our friends they're buying the farm. They live in Seattle, no air conditioning.
Yeah, no.
And they've had temperatures of
115.
Yeah. There was somebody else that commented in a video recently, maybe yesterday or day before yesterday.
I saw that, talking about their humidity, and I can't remember where they were, though.
Yeah, they had no air conditioning.
Really?
Where they lived, there was no air conditions, and the kids were having to ride the buses, which had no air conditions on it. And she said it was 115 degrees, and they never had that type of weather. So the climate change is happening. It's just crazy how fast it's happening. I mean, it's nuts.
The family from Seattle, she will start her question with, this may be a stupid question. Well, we've expressed on here how there is no stupid question. So I did not feel it was stupid. But one of the first things when we were talking about, purchasing this home, purchasing this home, the question that she had was, this is a stupid question, but do you have air conditioner?
Yeah.
Well, yes, it sounded a little crazy to us because we can't go without air conditioner here. I mean, you just don't hear of anybody. I don't care how poor they are or how unwell off. If somebody's without air conditioner, then the community steps in and makes that happen, because I don't know if you could survive.
It's rough down here. It gets rough because it gets hot.
It gets hot. And so
most everybody has air conditioning.
I told her, I said, no, that's not a stupid question at all. But we do have air conditioner, and you're just not going to hardly find anybody that doesn't.
But I do remember being a kid, and I remember my mom and dad had a station wagon with vinyl
we had cars
seats.
now with no air conditioner.
Had no air conditioning in it. And I remember my nanny's 2-door Oldsmobile Cutlass with vinyl seats. And it had no air conditioning.
Yeah, we had cars. Now, our cars did not have air conditioner when I was growing up. And the first house that I remember living in, we were living there with window units. And then my parents finally, came up with a way to put central heating and air in there. And we thought that we had stepped up in class.
Ain't
because,
that crazy?
The window units just didn't cool like the centrally ducted air conditioner would, and we did that, and boy, we thought we had stepped up. Because I say that everybody here has air conditioner, and I mean window units.
Right.
However, now they have these little ductless things that you can put in, and
these mini splits are the new craze now.
I was talking about like what we have in our camper.
Oh yeah, we got that in the camper, which is
it's like a little portable air conditioner system that you run the exhaust out the window or whatever. But you have some kind of air conditioner. Even back then we had window units to cool, and we weren't, we struggled to make ends meet, but we had window units.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Now, Piper, her family, the house that they've recently, the land, it's mostly land, and then there's a couple of old houses on it that have not been lived in quite some time, and they call it the pre-World War II house because it's very old.
Very old.
And it doesn't have air conditioning, and they have been just putting window units here and there to cool the place off. They're not living there yet, but they're working on the place.
Right.
And while they're working on it, they just have window units, and that's how they plan to, make do until they can do something better.
It's funny you said very old. We've said that several times in our podcast since we've been doing it. And, to us, especially where we are now here in the South, very old is like late 1700s, the 1800s and the early 1900s. But we got fans from the UK, Scotland, and, very old to them is totally different.
What do you mean? They think it's
like 1400s.
Oh.
You're talking about Knights of the Round Table old.
Okay.
And they get tickled when we say very old. To us
Pre-World
is-
War II?
Yeah, it's Civil War era.
Yeah.
to them,
It's pyramid times.
yeah, it's old.
It's funny how different cultures, translate things as being different.
It is.
Definition of old from one country to the next.
Because
It's
the
totally
United States is really, really young.
Yeah,
It
you're
really
right.
is.
You're right.
It is so young of a country compared to something like, Greece and Rome
Yeah.
and England with
See,
all
I
the
can't
castles. And
I can't even
yeah.
concept all
We
of
don't
that,
have
but
castles over here.
We don't.
we
don't.
have old antebellum homes.
But we just built our chickens a castle. And I don't
We
know
did.
how we got off of that subject because we were fixing to start talking about it. And I probably interrupted you.
There's no telling.
Because I got out of the car the other day. I don't think I told y'all this. And back to the chicken coop. So I need to write that down so we'll know what we're on the subject of. I met someone to give them a deposit on some garage doors. And so Marycarl and Jason were sitting in the truck. And I got out and went and talked to the guy and was giving him the deposit. And I got back in the truck and Marycarl was laughing. And I said, "What are you laughing at?" And she said, "Daddy just said that you'll talk the ears off a garbage can." And she's going to tell me everything now. There is no hidden information with an 11-year-old.
Right.
Not that he would have held that back, but
Well, it was just me and her were talking
talk
about
the
it.
ears off a garbage can.
She told me, she said, "Daddy, Mama just talk and talk and talk." And then she comes in and says, "That person just wouldn't quit talking to me and I couldn't get away from them." And Mary
I
Carl's like, "It's
apologize to y'all. I said, I'm sorry. He just got to talking and I couldn't get away. And then Jason had just made the statement to Marycarl that I would talk the ears off a
not."
garbage
Yeah,
can.
it was
So-
funny. She got tickled about that.
And we're standing in front of the garage door guy and myself were standing in front of the truck and we could see them and I could see Jason and Marycarl just giggling.
She laughed, and she still laughs. Now it's her new thing.
So back to the chicken coop.
Yeah.
I had to tell y'all that while I was thinking about me talking the ears off a garbage
what's
can.
funny is I'm the total opposite, and I know I don't seem like it on the podcast and in the videos because I'm just comfortable around y'all. But I'm an introvert.
You have to pry
yeah.
Jason to make him talk. Now, I have been thoroughly impressed with you this past week, and you want to know why?
Why?
Because the site guy
Yes.
has been on our property several times, and every time he comes, you go and you talk to him.
Yeah, I've been handling the site guy.
And I can't believe it. And Jason said yesterday the guy was pulling in or something, and he said, "I'm gonna go talk to him," and I was just kind of like, "You mean I don't have to?"
Well,
and-
I told you I've been trying to get better.
And I know,
Yeah.
but that's just, I mean, that's going from better to best because he didn't approach you. He didn't ask you any questions.
Yeah.
You took it upon yourself to go to him and say, "What's up, man?
Right.
How things going today?" And I was just like, I am not saying a word. I just
Yeah.
continue on with my work. I don't even go and join into their conversation because if I go over there, I will talk the ears off a garbage can.
That's right.
I let you do that talking, and you've done just extremely well.
Yeah, I have communicated well with
I don't know if
Mr.
you
Greg.
like him.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Well,
Yeah,
that
he's
obviously
very-
helps things because he makes that conversation go smooth.
He is. He's a super. I can just tell he's a super guy. Extremely nice.
He wants to help
extremely
us.
cordial. Professionals doing a jam up job because the site guy has started working.
Yeah, we can't talk about that though. We got to go back to the coop.
I know.
But Mr. Greg is awesome.
He is
And
awesome.
Jason and Mr. Greg are like peas and carrots.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
we
here.
we kind of hit it off because it's him and his nephew that's doing the site work, and he's come every time. His nephew's only came once, but Mr. Greg comes, and he's came twice, and both times he's came, he didn't expect anybody to be there, and
There's
I
no
was staying
vehicle
in the
there.
camper. Well,
Yeah,
one
'cause-
time, that's what he told me. He said, "I just can't figure out, man." He said, "I didn't think anybody was here, but your truck was here, and you were here, and the next time I came, the truck wasn't here, so I assumed you wasn't here, and you were here, and I was trying to make noise because you know how it is. He's on
Walk up
somebody else's property.
Yeah.
It's rural, and he's out in the middle, in the middle of nowhere, and I walk up on him, and I scared him pretty good the first time. The second time, I tried to make even more noise. I did startle him, but not near as bad as I did the first time. But yeah, he's a great guy. Just thoroughly impressed.
What happens a lot of times is we'll go as a family over to the 40.
Yeah.
And then Jason needs to stay and edit videos and do whatnot. And so Marycarl and I drive the vehicle that we all rode in back home and leave him there. We come back to the farm so we can take care of animals and the house and things here. And so Jason's left there without a vehicle. He has plenty of food. He has plenty of water. He has everything you need, but there's no vehicle there. So it looks like nobody's there.
Right.
But I just wanted to clarify that. Why you're there with no vehicle.
Why I'm there with no vehicle.
You didn't walk.
I didn't walk.
And you didn't ride that fancy bike of yours all the way.
Farm bike. I'm loving my farm bike. I can't wait to start using my trailer.
He didn't let me ride the bike very much, and it's not that I'm off limits to it. He hadn't told me to not ride it, but he's usually on it.
I love that bike.
He did make a statement to me while we were at the beach that we would get me one.
I would get you one.
When we get over to the 40, if I want a bike, we'll get me a bike.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. But back to that Coop. We're going to talk about this.
Well,
Coop.
I've been wanting to bring the farm bike back to the 40,
We've
but
always got a truck full.
The truck slowed it down because see what we're doing. We've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, somebody sent us an email just the other day. They said, I had a brilliant idea. Every time y'all go from Cog Hill Farm to the 40 Cog Hill Farm, why don't you take a load of stuff? We've been doing that for, 3 months?
We've been doing that for a while. We just hadn't showed it in the videos because we thought it may be pretty boring. But we've been taking a truckload, this and that, every time we go. We got a pretty good bit moved.
We don't go with an empty truck.
No, we don't.
If we're driving the truck, then it's full of something.
It is.
It may be tools that we have to work with, but regardless, we're taking what we can.
Yes.
Every time we go.
And speaking of taking what we can, I know we've mentioned it before. We got a ton of new viewers. The tags and stuff, all the car tags, are we taking them? Yes. The car tags are going to be
I don't know if we ought to make a video of us taking everything down and talking about it, or just take it down and y'all see a blank barn.
I think what we'll do is we'll just work it in a video, but just make it just a little small segment.
Not a whole video of taking all the signs and stuff down. Yeah. That's going to be an ordeal. But that may be something that happens after we close on our house. And this is the good thing about the buyers from Seattle.
Yes.
They are so nice. They are so understanding that we have so many animal enclosures and things that need to be built and taken care of. And by the time we close, we want to have all our animals taken care of. Mm-hmm. However, they have told us, y'all don't worry about the animals. If there's something that you can't get moved before we take possession of the house, y'all can come back and forth and take care of them for as long as need be. And that just means the world to us because, it's not like it's some people that are not understanding.
Right.
To know how much pressure we're under.
Well, they also said that inside stuff too. If there's anything inside.
Well, not inside the house, but meaning the shop.
Right.
And I told her, I said, we will have the houses empty.
Yes.
The houses will be empty, but we may have some buildings and things that still need to be moved. Right. And she said that's perfectly fine. And I wanted to clear that up with her because I would hate for them to drive down the driveway and the gazebo still be here with the watering system that we are taking. But we don't, who knows? After this hurricane's over, we may have another one that comes and we may have a week of rain that we can't.
Yeah, that's true. Plus, thinking back, I've thought about this several times. Me getting sick put us back nearly 3 weeks.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. Not to say that Marycarl and I weren't packing and preparing and taking things to the Goodwill and flea market, but still, that's not a man's help.
Yeah, 3 weeks. There was nothing we could do on the 40, pasture-wise, animal shelter-wise. None of that couldn't be done while I was sick.
But you know what?
What's that?
I'm so thankful that you got better when you did.
Yeah.
It's almost like that beach trip was the transformation from you going from this point to this point.
Yeah, I think so too. I think maybe it was just needed a break.
We
And
were
I
this
have been
close
resting.
to
I've been
canceling
resting
that.
a lot.
We were this
Yeah.
close to canceling that beach trip because we thought to ourselves, here we are fixing to move our house
Mm-hmm.
of 17 years, and we're going to the beach for a week.
Right.
Have we lost our minds? But at that point, y'all, I needed a break.
Yeah.
Jason had been sick. We knew that we weren't going down there to run a marathon. We were
Right.
going to relax.
And that's what we did.
And that's what we did. We did absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
We did just what we wanted to for that week.
We were in our little camper, and we went from the camper to the beach,
Yeah.
pretty much.
And that's it.
That's it.
And we cooked at the campsite
Mm-hmm.
and just relaxed.
We did.
And I felt like had I canceled that trip, my energy level wouldn't be where it is right now.
Yeah.
Because it was just a rebirth for me. Just to
Right.
get things back on track and get my mind thinking
And it worked.
straight. It worked.
It worked. And speaking of canceling trips, we have canceled. We were going to the Homesteaders of America conference just
In
to meet
Virginia.
fans and see everybody. I wasn't a speaker this year, but it's too close. We are.
What are the dates of the conference?
It was October 8th and 9th. It
And
was
we
the day
close on our house the 5th. So,
We close on September. We got to be out October 5th,
well,
technically. No, am I wrong?
we're closing by October 5th.
Okay. I just know October 5th is the day that we're supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter when
Okay.
we're closing. We don't have to be out till October 5th.
That's what I'm
So,
saying. October 5th is the date that we need to be out of the house.
Yeah, that's when they start their moving trucks from
Mm-hmm.
Seattle to here. Now, it's probably going to take them 4 or 5 days to get here.
Mm-hmm.
But I put in my mind, since they're starting their journey on October 5th,
We're
we
gonna
need to be
start
out
ours.
on October 5th. And so October 5th and the Homesteading Conference is just bam, bam. We would need to be leaving about the 5th.
Yeah, it'd just be too stressful.
So that being said, we will not be attending the Homesteaders of America Conference in Virginia.
Yes.
The one that's in Pensacola, we
And-
will be there.
Unless something crazy
A
happens.
hurricane or something like that.
We should be at the one. Now, we are speaking at that one. We should be at the one in Pensacola. That's the end of October. I think it's October 24th.
I think it's the next week, the
24th. I'm almost
We will
positive.
put a link to that
Yeah.
because we've had several emails that have said, I'm in New Orleans. It's only a couple of hours drive for me. Tell me more information about this. So you
Okay.
need to put a link to that conference.
Okay.
And this is a saying that I don't know if they say across the United States or if it's just a Southern thing. But if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise,
That's right.
we'll be at the Homestead
We'll be at
conference.
that one. Yeah, we should be at that one. And but I did want to say that since we're talking about the beach trip and canceling, that we did, and we just did that recently.
We did
Canceled,
because
our hotel.
we were looking so forward to that trip, but this comes first.
Yeah,
It has
it's
to.
just too close.
It has
just
to.
all of us just all too close.
And I hate we ever said we were going, but we didn't realize that this move was going to take place when it is.
Yeah.
So y'all just, we're shooting for next year.
That's right.
We're shooting for next year.
That's right.
And we will put a link to the Pensacola conference that we will be speaking at, and we plan to attend, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.
That's right.
So back to this coop.
Check back the chicken coop.
We're not getting off subject
I keep
again.
changing the subject.
You do.
Yes.
And it's usually me, but this was all about you. So that coop is ventilated across the front.
Yep.
And we have put this wire in the bottom.
And it's really not wire. So people get confused
Yeah,
about
it's
this.
not wire.
It's an expanded
It's steel.
metal.
It
It's
is
a steel floor, and it's got small little gaps in it. Their feet are not going to fall through it. They're not going to cut their feet on it. They're not going to hurt their feet on it. It's going to be perfectly fine. But
I have to say
What's that?
something. So I wake up during the middle of the night, just about every night, and I have, something on my mind. Like one night it was about the freezers and where we were going to store the freezers. Well, I come up with these different things every night. And it's probably a good thing because it's things that need to be addressed. So one morning we wake up and Jason says, I just thought about something. And I'm like, What? Because I like somebody else thinking besides me. I feel like I have an overload going on and I need somebody else to do my thinking sometimes. He said, about that chicken coop. He said, I was thinking, what about if we can get some of that grate stuff like us on a trailer gate and put it in the bottom of the trailer for the chickens, for the chicken coop. And I was like, yeah, that'd be a good idea because I had not thought about it.
Right.
Wood is, still pretty high cost wise, and we would have to buy how many sheets of plywood was it going to take? 6, I think.
Maybe been 6. Because we'd have to,
because it's 4, 8, 12, 16, and then 16 wide, so it would have took 8.
Because we had to cut it to fit on the rafters, the trailer rafters, to make it fit right.
That plywood was going to cost a lot of money.
It would have.
And besides that, it was going to be a lot of work to cut it and make it fit exactly right.
Then we'd have to buy linoleum.
We'd have to buy linoleum or vinyl and put it on top of it because their feces on that plywood would just rot it out.
Eventually, or we could have painted it, I guess.
Well, we could have, but what we did here was put linoleum on it, so we had that in our mind, and that would have been a pretty timely process.
I did not know exactly how much we saved in time until we put that metal floor down, because our original plan was we were going to have to cut it like plywood, and we were going to have to cut it and fit it in there right.
But we still felt like that would be easier than trying to cut wood and fit it in there.
But I was still thinking we were going to have to cut it. But once we got it in there, it's steel. So it's thick, but it's not near the thickness of plywood.
And it's almost like it's the edges kind of taper down gradually. So it's not a sharp lip.
Edge. Yeah.
It's not a big lip. It just
tapers
rounds
down. And we could overlap it, and then we matched the grates up so the holes still were the same.
Those holes are uniform. They match up straight through.
And it was so darn easy to put that in. But
back to your initial thought of telling me, I thought about maybe some of that steel that lights on a trailer gate. Well, he tosses that idea off to me, and while he looked to see if he could find it, he wasn't looking in the right places. And so he was over at the 40 editing a video that day while I'm at home, and I had some thoughts go through my head of some different suppliers as to who we could get this stuff from, because my first thought is always a big box store. And I've seen it at Lowe's and Home Depot. I have seen it there too. But it's in sheets that are like small sheets. 2 by 2 or maybe 3 by 5, but it's a thin. It's not thick what's on a trailer gate. And trailer gate, we mean a gate that's on the back that you let down and you drive whatever you're putting on your trailer on. They
also make trailers with this stuff completely all the way across it.
Well, our last trailer had a graded floor. Didn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And you drive 4-wheelers on it or whatever. I mean, so it's sturdy stuff.
And it's made to last. It's not like it's going to rust out in a year or two. Now, with chicken poop on it, we'll address that in a minute. So I start doing research as to, okay, Lowe's and Home Depot doesn't have it. Where would you get something like this? So I found a supply store that was in Birmingham. Birmingham is about an hour and a half from us, an hour from the 40, but we could make that trip if need be.
Right.
So I called them, and they gave me some prices. And so then I thought, ding, 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 Alabama Steel is in Montgomery. I wonder if they have it. So I went to their website, and I found out that it's actually called Expanded Metal.
Expanded Metal. I don't know if they call it because the way they make it, maybe. I don't know. I don't know why they call it Expanded Metal.
I don't either. But I called them, and the lady said, yes, we have it in sheets in stock.
Yep, 4x8 sheets.
4x8 sheets. We have a quarter. No. We have a half, 3/4, and 1 inch. Well, I know what half inch is. I know what 3/4 is, but I still can't visualize in my head how big that diamond pattern is. And so I told Jason, I said, well, let's just drive over there and look at it. Because we're not, but how far? I mean,
45 minutes to Montgomery.
Far. So we drove the truck anticipating buying it, in case they were to have we knew they had it, but we didn't know if this was going to work. So we go over there and we go in the office, and lo and behold, right there displayed on the counter, at the sales counter,
There it is.
There it is displayed.
Yep.
Half-inch pattern, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, and we got to look at it and figure out what we wanted.
Yeah, and it was, and it had different, even though it was all the same size, they looked different across. They had like 3 different ones of the same size, like they had 3 different half inches or whatever. But we picked out the one we wanted. We thought would be perfect.
So the salesman said, "Go out there in the yard and give me the number off what you want," because it wasn't. He couldn't look at the one we were pointing to and say if he had that on the yard or not without that number.
Yeah.
So we went out there on the yard, and they had it just stacked up in their warehouse.
Yeah, they had a bunch of it.
And so we picked out the one we wanted. We bought it, and y'all, I think it's really gonna be the best situation for us.
Well, we're going to find out, because if anybody's interested in it, watch us, because we're going to definitely be using it and experimenting with it. Now, I had read about it too. I went to several chicken forums and Googled or searched expanded metal flooring, and it's more popular than what we think.
I think what gave you the idea was P. Allen Smith.
P. Allen Smith had a portable coop that he used for his egg layers that he moved on his pastures, and it had a graded type open floor in it as well.
That kind of gave you the idea.
That kind of gave me the idea. And you have to think and remember, the chickens are not going to live in this thing.
No.
This is only for them
to roost in.
To roost in at night and sleep in, and for the hens to go in and lay their eggs.
That's
they're
right.
going to be outside. So when the door opens, they're going outside.
So nobody's going to be in there unless they're laying an egg or unless they're sleeping.
Right.
And guess what?
What's that?
Chickens don't sleep on the floor.
No,
So
they're going to roost.
Their time on that metal is minimal. It is simply to walk to the nesting box or to walk to the roost. And we've had a lot of people say, y'all are going to have to watch out for bumblefoot. The predators could potentially grab them from the bottom of this mesh.
No,
it's not going to happen.
I don't think a predator can get their hand. This is.
It's tiny.
I may have to put a big picture of it on the camera or something where they can see it in one of the videos. Just to see it. I don't think they understand exactly what it looks like and how thick it is. An animal can't get through this stuff at all.
No, and if I walk barefoot on it, it would not hurt my feet.
Right.
So therefore, I don't anticipate there being any bumblefoot issues because they're not sleeping on it. They're simply walking to the roost, and the roost will be 2x4s that will be built onto the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And so they will hop from that metal up just like it is here.
Yeah, just like it is here.
No different. So,
but I was saying that I had searched it on some chicken forums, and it's not super popular, but more popular than what I anticipated. I didn't know there was going to be that many comments and posts about expanded metal.
I'm glad that you found it.
And I would say there's about a 75-25. 75% of the people loved it, and 25% of people didn't like it.
What was their reason?
The reason why they didn't like it is they said it doesn't clean out as easy as you think because the holes are so small that the poop kind of builds up. But there was other people saying that, like we said, we knew it wasn't going to drop through perfectly.
No.
But they just go in there with a water hose.
Or a broom.
Just squirt it out. Or a broom.
Once it's dry, you can just take a broom and
push it out.
Push it out. And I just feel like without buying shavings, which is what we're doing now. Right now, we clean out that coop religiously, and we put new shavings in, take the old ones out, and it's a lot of wasted money.
Well, if you add both those coops together, that's 6 bags of shavings a month.
That's a lot. And those, they're not expensive, but
how much is a bag of shavings?
$6. So that's $50 every time.
So yeah. So 36, just say $40 a month.
Yeah.
Multiply that times 12.
That's $480 that paid for the metal.
That paid for the metal. That's more than the metal.
And the metal has gone up astronomically.
Yeah. Well, the guy told me, he said, if y'all had been here 2 months earlier, it'd have been half this price.
More than half the price.
Man.
But
he went on and said, but we didn't have any either. We couldn't get it.
So it's the same stuff that's on the trailer gates.
Yeah. And
trailers have been painted.
Yeah, and that was another question that came up. Isn't this going to rust? Isn't the trailer floor going to rust? Yeah, it would. And it would take us a while. If we didn't do anything to it,
it would
wouldn't-
still take a long time.
It would take a while for it to
'Cause
rust
it's thick.
completely
It's not
out.
like it's a little thin
Yeah.
piece of. I think people are getting the wrong concept when we say mesh.
Yeah, that's why I said we don't need to say mesh.
It needs to be set
steel
expanded
flooring.
steel.
Yeah, something like that.
Because we plan, I think we still have a gallon of that bed liner stuff.
Yeah, I think
we
it-
used it for, I don't even know what we used
Used
it
it
for.
on the Jeep.
Yeah, I used
floor
it
of the
on a
Jeep.
Jeep.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have a gallon of that stuff, and it's like bed liner stuff,
Yeah, it's
rhino
like
liner.
it's like in a paint can, and you roll it on, and it's called. I think that was the most popular brand was Rhino Liner. It's probably a lot of generics. And
Ours is called
other-
Herky liner.
That's what it's called. Yep, sure is.
I don't know how I remember that, but
And
I
it's
can.
black, and it's got a little bit of texture to it.
Yeah,
And you roll it on, and of course you had a bed liner, or the bed of your pickup truck. It would protect the bed of your pickup truck
from the elements.
from the elements and throwing stuff in it and whatnot. And that's our plan to do with the floor.
If we have that gallon out there. If we don't have that gallon, then I may buy something that prohibits rust.
Well, that, I'm leaning towards the Rhino Liner
Okay.
because of the texture. Because
Well, that's what it's made for, is to protect.
Well, my thing is, if it were to get, what if we were to step on a piece of chicken poo poo and it slip? That's why I'm wondering if we ought to put the texture Rhino Liner down there. They would keep our feet from slipping. That's the only thing I'm thinking about.
I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna slip on any chicken.
But I
poo-poo.
mean, I guess we could slip on the linoleum too.
That's right.
So who knows?
I'm not too worried about slipping on chicken
I'm,
poo-poo.
I'm just thinking about how our trailer was metal, and if you didn't pay
yeah, if you
attention,
had oil on it, but
could
if you had
slip.
chicken poop, I don't think you'd. I don't know.
Regardless, we're going to paint the floor.
we're gonna get some kind of coating on that floor.
We're going to paint the floor.
We're not gonna slip on any chicken poo-poo because we're gonna protect it.
You say that, you're going to hear bam.
No, I'm not gonna hear that.
you're
If
gonna
I
hear
do
me.
hear it, it's gonna be because you're slipping.
That's
down.
right. You're going to say, there he went.
There he went. He
There he
slipped on.
went.
He should have put that rhino liner
Should
down.
have put
and
that
he
Rhino Liner down.
And he wouldn't have slipped on that chicken.
I will
poo-poo.
say this, though. Let's just say we're 100% wrong. Let's say that the floor starts causing issues with their feet and it gets too cold in there.
Yeah.
We can just put shavings in the bottom of it.
We can put hay in the bottom of it.
Hay, shavings, whatever.
Yep,
It doesn't
that's
matter.
right. That's right. We can put something on, and if it gets cold, yeah, you're right. If it gets cold in the winter, that will insulate it.
Yeah.
It won't be an issue. We don't have a winter more than 3 months. That's for sure.
And I will say now our chicken coop now is open on 3 sides, pretty
It
much.
is.
It's open on 3 sides. Before that, it was completely open.
Yeah.
Where the silkies stay.
Yeah.
Completely open.
Yeah.
So we really don't have that issue. But on nights, say every now and then, like once every 3 years, we'll have one of those nights where it gets in the teens,
Yeah,
which
but
is rare.
a chicken's not going to freeze.
But we will put a heat light
yeah,
in there.
we'll be prepared, and we're not going to let our chickens
Yeah.
get frostbite on their comb. And,
Right. We'll just
and-
throw a heat light in there or something.
Yeah.
We'll protect them.
But here, I think people don't realize that we're not in an area that gets a lot of snow and the temperatures drop and freeze.
Right.
We will be a little further north, so we're gonna. Marycarl told Nana yesterday.
Uh-oh.
She said, "Nana, it gets cold up there on the 40, and it's what 30 miles from here." But she remembers when we bought the property.
Yeah.
And we went out there and the wind was blowing because the wind does not blow
Right.
here because we're kind of down.
We're kind of down.
So it kind
over
of goes
there,
over the top of
You
us.
know what? We're really up elevated over there.
Yeah.
Plus, it's open pasture,
And
and
the
there's
wi-
open pastures around us. We do have woods now. Don't get us wrong.
Yeah.
Y'all seen the
But there's
40 acres,
not a
but
wind break like it is
still.
here.
No, because our woods actually go down.
Yeah, you're right. And so a lot of times what'll happen here is, you'll be here in the morning and you'll head out and you'll stop somewhere else and you'll say,
Yeah.
"Man, the wind's blowing,"
Right.
Because you didn't realize it down here.
Yeah, you can't realize it down here.
And so when you get over there and the wind's blowing, it makes that cold air feel even colder. And I think that's what she meant. But she told Nana it was cold
it
on
was
the
cold.
40.
That's funny. And talking about snow and our chickens, it snows here about once every 5 years.
Yeah.
If that, And there's some exceptions to the rule of that, but we'll just say once every 5 years on average. And when it does snow, we get about 1/4 of an inch, and it doesn't stick.
No, it doesn't stick, and if it does, it shuts down the entire.
Even at the 1/4 of an inch and not sticking, the whole city shuts down.
Yeah.
I mean, it shuts completely down. I mean, everybody freaks out. We don't have sand to put on the bridges. It's
our
just
water
not,
hose faucets, for the most part, stay uninsulated year round.
Yeah.
Our outdoor faucets, we might put a cover on it one time a year, and everybody goes out and buys those covers
Right.
all at one time.
Right.
But you don't even have to cover your faucets.
Yeah.
And the pipes are not buried, but a foot deep at most?
No, our code is 6 inches.
6 inches? Okay.
6 inches is code.
So that
At least
tells
that
you.
was when we built this house. It was 6 inches was code.
Probably changed 3 feet now with the weather change.
For PVC plumbing was 6 inches.
Well,
That's our frost line.
so that should tell y'all a little something about
Yeah.
the temperatures not getting cold.
Right.
But we will have our chickens taken care of. We take very strongly to the welfare of our animals, and if you watch our videos, then you know that they are taken care of. We will provide heat if needed. There are no predators that will grab them and pull them through those grates. That's not going to happen.
Right.
And that being said, we had thought all along that we would take that chicken tractor and we would buy some of the electrified fence to go on the outside of it that's about at max 4 foot tall and electrify it to keep predators away. That has changed. And we may come back to that. I mean, we may do that one day. But right now, we want to know what we're facing
right.
first.
Right now, we are focusing all our attention on getting fencing prepared, getting a plan of what we want to do for everybody. And so far, we're thinking we're going to build 4 paddocks, 4 pastures.
Fenced in. 4 times.
Right.
4 fences.
Large areas. And we're going to do, right now, I think we're going to plan on doing goats, nugget, and whoever goes in with nugget.
Yeah.
Goats again, because we want to keep the male and female separated, and we want something in between them in case, a goat goes in heat, because they can breed
through the fence.
Yep. That style fence. They couldn't through ours, but through that style fence, and they could. So we're going to do goats, emu, goats again, and poultry is our plan. So we're going to pull that trailer into that fenced-in area.
So it'll be a trailer for them to roost in and lay eggs in, and then it will be a fence surrounding it.
Right.
Now, as we stay out there and we live and we realize what kind of predators we're facing, then we hope to eventually pull that trailer around the pasture and put an electric fence around it to keep them contained.
Right.
But right now, we feel better knowing that they are fenced within a fence.
Fenced within the fence. And I told you my plan is to run a hot wire
around the top of that fence.
Around the bottom.
Oh,
so
bottom,
nothing would try to dig underneath it.
Right.
So, and I may put one up a little higher. So we got it. So we'll.
All of our dogs will be over there.
Yep.
Pyrenees. We have 2 Pyrenees. We have a female Foxy who's a young Pyrenees, and then we have a male bear who is approaching elder age.
Right.
He does still bark and ward off predators.
And he's
however,
intimidating.
He is not fast.
No.
But they will be out there.
They will be out there.
They will be on the perimeter of the fence to guard off anything from getting in the fence.
Right. And if we do have an issue with something getting in the fence or something, we can always put Bear Foxy in there.
Yeah,
with
we can put a dog in there.
And Nugget does a good job at warding off and the alarm system.
Yeah, they do. They all are intimidating. And while Bear is just a big, gentle giant, he is very ferocious sounding.
Very ferocious sounding, and he's huge.
If I was a fox or a coyote or something, unless the coyote had 20 or so in its pack and came from the fence area to another fence area, we're going to hear it.
We're going to hear it. So we're going to have the whole 40 acres is fenced. Then we know we got to mend several places. We can't walk. We have walked it, but there's, it's
some breaks
old.
in some old fence.
But we got that. Then we're going to have fence for each paddock where everybody's going to stay. And then I'm going to put electric fence around that. So I'm thinking we're going to be okay, except aerial will be the only issue we have.
Yep.
And we have that issue here.
we do.
Yeah.
There's no way to control aerial except for to have
A flight pen.
geese to ward off. You know, geese, they're good at aerial
They are good at
protection
aerial
because
protection.
they start doing this and they
Mm-hmm.
make their noise and the chickens listen to them.
Yeah.
Soon as they hear the geese warning, they take cover.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there's a chicken that doesn't get that warning, and it does, potentially have a catastrophic effect, but
Right.
you can't control that.
Right.
You can't control that. So unless it's completely covered, and we're not going to go
Right.
that route. Not for our layers anyway.
Right. Yeah.
We'll get on to our silkies and what we have planned for them in the future. But I think we're going to have things pretty well covered.
Yeah, we're moving a lot faster. I mean, me and you, we're doing a pretty good job, I think, of getting things built and
I think
done.
so. I'm just, I go back to what we stated at the beginning of the podcast. I hate it for those that are affected by this storm that's coming.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful that we will continue to be able to potentially have a couple of days of rain, but work through this and continue on, because
Right.
this could have potential devastating effect on our move if it was coming this way.
Yeah. Yep. It could be. And I don't know. We're thinking of you guys that are going to be impacted by this storm, because
Which is a lot of people.
It is going to be a lot of people.
And I guess our next podcast will update as to if we had any, limbs to fall or
Right.
isolated spin up tornadoes or whatever. We'll update y'all, but y'all don't worry about us. Worry about the ones that are going to be directly impacted.
Right. And we got friends over there, we
do.
We got Wes and his family,
At
the Naked Hog, and we got the
Reap what you sow.
that or made these cups for us. They're in the Louisiana area.
There's so many people that are in that area and it's not just the Louisiana, it's the southern
Mississippi. Yeah.
So,
we got not living traditions, but Deep South Homestead.
Yep.
They're near Gulfport, Mississippi. So yeah, we got several friends in that area that we're thinking about.
A lot of people have family, friends.
Right.
Regardless of if we know them or not, we don't want any loss of life.
No.
So I guess that being said, we'll update on the next podcast as to what happens here.
Right.
We don't anticipate anything, but just, we'll let you know. We'll let you know what happens, and y'all stay safe.
Please stay safe.
And just hope for the best for the people that will be directly impacted.
Right.
And I guess this covered this episode of number 56.
You got it. 56.
56
Right.
of the Cogcast podcast.
You got that too.
I got it right. And we'll update on Ida.
Yep, we'll update on Ida. Also, videos coming out is we're going to try to finish the chicken coop up.
Yep.
The site guys are coming.
Yep.
Or the site guys are here. We recorded some of that. They're not finished yet. Of course, the storm is going to affect them from finishing our stuff in the next few days. And we are going to start on the pastures.
That's right.
So stay tuned for those videos coming out in the next couple of weeks. And as always,
Y'all be good.